So on our Any Other Business, we're cheating a little bit because we're using England talk to talk about Trent Alexander-Arnold. He keeps on reporting for international duty when he's called up. It's obviously not really in Gareth Southgate's favoured players, it's fair to say. And I just wonder where you stand just in general on Trent Alexander-Arnold. I feel that he's a player that divides so much opinion.
Well, he does. I know him very, very well. I follow him very closely. Love-hate relationship, I wouldn't say that. There's probably a better way of saying that. I understand what he does and what he does well, and he's arguably the best at it, right? A fullback going forward. His shortcomings as a defender are there for everyone to see. Even Liverpool supporters know, or better know, that it is an issue. But I think everybody understands that sometimes you have to do the extra work in order for him to do what he does going forward. And I think the Van Dijks and Konates and Matips understand that, and they're willing to work for him. I think at the international level, that's a little bit different. I think Gareth Southgate doesn't trust him. And here lies the problem with him and in England. And I saw a piece this morning praising him, how hard he works when he's called in, even though he knows that that the manager doesn't trust him. That's part on him and part on Southgate, because I've said this to you, I've said this at ESPN long time ago. Gareth Southgate has done a tremendous job with England so far. There's no denying that, but he holds players back. His pragmatism holds him back. And that's why Trent Alexander-Arnold is being held back, and maybe other players as well. The reason he doesn't trust him is because he wants to play 3 in the back or 5 in the back sometimes, where he has maybe the best generation of English players, where I'd expect them to do more and play better. And I don't see that. Now you can say they've gotten to the final, they've gotten to the semifinal of big competition. Yes, that's great. But there's a short window that England has and to maybe win the big competition. But if that's going to happen, then you need a manager that's going to bring the best out of those players that want to attack, that want to play differently, because that window is closing. Belgium is a very good example of that. They've had those players as well. I could say very much the same about Roberto Martinez from time to time as Gareth Southgate. I think when you have a collection of young, hungry players that kind of want to play the game and play to the best of their abilities, I think they're being shortchanged by their manager, and Trent is. Having said that, Kyle Walker didn't look good against Italy. Hasn't looked great in general as of late, I would say, right? Kieran Trippier, another choice. Reece James, another choice. A lot of choices at right back. I certainly understand why Gareth Southgate, the way he sets up a team, why he doesn't trust him. That doesn't mean that I think that Gareth Southgate plays the best football for this particular team, but neither here or there.
Oh, no, that's fair enough, I think. We're going to take a few viewer questions. The first of them is from Harsh, who says, with Liverpool dropping off, is there no stopping Man City for the title or the next 3 to 4 years in general?
It can be. Ahead of the season, we've been talking about Liverpool and Manchester City being favorites. Liverpool has had a slower start, an indifferent one. Here's the issue I have in the meantime, and maybe a longer term, probably the same. But this is a different season, and we all know that Liverpool and Manchester City are very capable of good longer winning runs, and it's been proven by Manchester City, who last season had a slower start, but then they went on a run. Liverpool has done it in the last 2 or 3 years. Even remember, there were game in hands. There were, I think, like 14 points behind at one stage because it was the COVID seasons and all that. There are no games in hand, and unfortunately, this is stop and start season. It is very difficult to go on these runs, because think about it. You start the season. If you don't start great, which Liverpool hasn't, you're already behind. Not just Manchester City, but Arsenal as well. Hard to make that up. Now, international window, it stops the momentum. You may regain some players. You may lose some players. We'll see in the next couple of days. Then you're being asked to go on a run, and then comes the World Cup, month off. It's not easy to keep that momentum. Say you win 1, 2, or 3 in a row. You want to keep playing. You want to build that momentum, which Liverpool can. But here, even in this window, I'm looking. There's Arsenal, there's Manchester City, there's some massive games. Even Spurs before the World Cup. There's some massive games coming their way. So the point is that if Liverpool doesn't get on a run now, I am afraid that before the World Cup starts, they may be out of the title run. So that's the answer for that.
Oh, wow.
On the well, because they're already behind and they have one game in hand and obviously can win. Now it's a massive game this weekend. Forget the rest, but they have to beat Brighton at home just to kind of keep up, right? And take advantage because Manchester City, Manchester United, maybe City drop points, Arsenal against North London. Critical,
right? They could be the big winners this weekend.
Critical weekend for Liverpool. I believe they can beat Brighton and we'll shelve this conversation, but not for long, because I think what I was just saying continues with Liverpool because of the schedule and going on around. And then longer term, I think I agree, because I just think the Manchester City they spend the money. If they see the player they want, it doesn't matter. If it's Grealish, 100 million and more. If it's Haaland, well, his pricing was different. He just chose to go there. I think Liverpool is still held back in terms of maybe by younger players that we can develop and one of those. I think it's always going to be difficult to go against City.
Thank you very much for watching ESPN FC on YouTube. For more highlights, analysis, and exclusive content, be sure to subscribe.